Hello, this is Bill Bryson with BWCAcast.com. We're out here on Geb-e-on-e-quet Lake. We've got a 120 rod portage this morning into Green Lake, and it's a gorgeous day. We had quite a bit of rain come in last night, just pounding down in the tent all night. We woke up this morning to blue skies, so we're very thankful for that. We were able to get our tent all nice and dried out before we packed it up and continued on this voyage. It's really nice to be out here on calm waters again this morning, and we're paddling along. Our goal today is to do about 800 rods of portaging and only cover about 8 miles of distance. So there's quite a bit of portaging compared to paddling on this leg of our journey. But we're having a great time, and thanks for being with us, and we'll see you on down the trail. We just finished the 120 rod portage into Green Lake here, and it's kind of a long, narrow lake that we're going to paddle down, and the next portage is at the other end. It's an 85 rod portage into Rocky Lake. Still nice and sunny out, and there were quite a few mosquitoes on that last portage, so if you're going to do that yourself, make sure you throw on a nice layer of bug spray before you begin that venture. But it's nice being back out on the water, and a little cool breeze blowing through here. And we're gonna work our way down the lake and hop on the next portage. just got off the 85 rod portage from Green Lake into Rocky Lake, and the lake sure does live up to its name. We got off the portage, and right where it meets up with the lake, it was just boulders like crazy. It's a really pretty lake. There's kind of some high bluffs around the edges of the lake, and some really pretty trees along the edge of the water, some cliffs along the edge of the water. It's just kind of a cool little place. Some islands and kind of some little rocks scattered out throughout the different parts of the lake, so it's a really pretty place to come paddle through. We're going to paddle down the other end of this lake, and then we've got a 65 rod portage into Oyster Lake, and we're doing really well. We're from there we've got a couple of big portages, and then we're going to end up in Lynx for the evening. We just hopped off the portage into Oyster Lake here, and it's just super calm out. It's really nice paddling across these lakes when there's just not much breeze, and you can see nice reflections off the edge of the lakes, and just a pretty time to be out on the water. We're going to paddle down Oyster here a little ways, and then take 310 rod portage into Hustler Lake, and we're going to kind of see how our shoulders and backs feel after that adventure. But and we've just got a short little paddle and then another 280 rod portage, so we kind of have them back to back there, some pretty big portages. But one thing I want to kind of show you over here, if we flip around to the other side of the canoe, there's a campsite over my shoulder there on Oyster, and cool thing about this campsite is it's on a peninsula, and so the lake is actually on both sides of the campsite. It's really cool. You can hop off one side and be on this part of Oyster Lake, or hop off the other side of the campsite and be on the bigger part of Oyster Lake. So it's kind of a really cool campsite. If you get the chance to paddle down in here and hop on that campsite, it's a good one to be at. Jesse and I are going to continue paddling on down here, and we'll work our way onto that 310 rod portage. We just finished up with the 320 rod portage between Oyster and Hustler. It's a pretty lake. You can see over the shoulder here. We've got our crew. You got Jimbo down over there, sprawled out, and Jesse leaning up against a tree, and Liam back over there. We got a little wiped out after that portage. It turned out to be a little bit more treacherous than we thought. Coming down into that area that the beavers had stopped up, and we had to throw everything back in the canoes and paddle across that. And then to go about another 20 rods and all of a sudden come across this huge pine tree that was perfectly placed where it was too high to really leap over and too low to crawl under. I ended up climbing up on top of it and kind of sliding around over the top with the canoe on my shoulders. I'm not sure how the rest of them fared, but we made it through, and we just had a little bit of gorp and something to drink. And now we're gonna paddle across Hustler and work our way towards that last 280 rod portage that'll dump us into Lynx. So we're almost to our campsite for the evening. Just took the 10 rod portage between Hustler and Ruby Lake. Kind of interesting, there's underneath the surface of the water right at the portage on both sides, there's old cribbing from back in the days before the Boundary Waters was created. I'm sure they had planes and things that came in and brought in those kind of supplies and set up docks so they could park their boats and their planes on these lakes and get some fishing done for fishing camps and whatnot. But those are just kind of some remnants of long ago. We're going to paddle across Ruby here and then hop on that 280 rod portage that's going to take us into Lynx Lake, and that's where we're going to try to find a campsite for the evening. But it's still a gorgeous day out, and we're enjoying being on here. We just finished the 280 rod portage from Ruby into Lynx Lake, and Not only was it a little bit long, but we also had a big old spruce tree that had fallen across the trail just recently, and no one's had a chance to kind of clear it off yet, and we don't have a saw width on this trip, so we couldn't clear it off any. So that posed to be an interesting obstacle. Typically, if the branches are cut off, you can at least just hop over the trunk of the tree, but the branches were all over the place as well, and so trying to navigate a way through all those obstacles was interesting. We're on Lynx here. We're gonna find a campsite here to set up in for the evening and kind of relax and enjoy this beautiful sunshiny day. I mean, we have had just phenomenal weather on this trip. It doesn't get much better than this. There's a gentle breeze blowing that keeps you kind of cool, and the sun is beating down, which is warming up the water. I'm looking forward to a swim here as soon as we get to camp. But we're gonna go get settled in and maybe do a little bit of fishing this afternoon. It's been a great day out on the water, and we're having a great time here in the Boundary Waters.